Hey everyone, this is Games and Gaming Podcast. Mark Burzdak and Daniel Marquez. They are going to be talking about indie games and board games, something that we've wanted to talk about for a long time with Indie Game Riot, but just haven't had the time to. And but they're going to do it here.
We're happy to do it for you.
Yeah, they're going to do it for us on Indie Rev Expo. So I hope you enjoy. We might be popping in depending towards the end of the thing, but for now we'll leave it to them. So have at it.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. I'm Mark.
Hello everyone. I'm Daniel.
You did the thing we do on the podcast. All right. So we wanted to kind of talk about the similarities between board games. Is on the podcast. Daniel knows all the things about board games.
The resident expert.
He's the resident expert on the board games, and I'm the resident expert on everything else.
Life and
literally
how to live and breathe.
Literally everything else I'm the expert on, and he just knows about board games.
Yep.
So because we came across the Indie Revolution Expo here, and Josh is a good friend of mine, and we wanted to kind of show the similarities between indie games and indie board games, and because at the end of the day it's all gaming, and we're all gamers, and we play games to have fun, whether it's you're sitting at a table or you're sitting behind a computer or behind a TV and playing your Rocket League.
Yes, that's my latest obsession.
That's his latest obsession, apparently. I tried it, and I'm no good at it, and I refuse to ever play it again. So he's trying to get me to play it, but I, again, refuse to do it. So we'll have Daniel here kick it off, and you're just going to go over like a couple of board games, like a lot of like Kickstarter stuff. So not something that you would just walk into your local game store and see because it's, some massive production, right?
Right. Well, for the reason we're bringing up Kickstarter is because that's the best place for
platform
for designers to use their up and coming and trying to get their stuff going. And sometimes you get good things and sometimes you don't. But for the most part, it's been a good platform for designers to use. And so a lot of times the designers will put the game up there hoping that it will fund. And when they do, most of the time, they'll get some copies to the retailers in the gaming stores. But for the most part, it only goes to the backers. And a good example of a game that does well are miniature games, I guess I should say, not just a game, but a type of game. Sometimes people are, sometimes they talk about how the board games are on Kickstarter are mostly miniatures, so that's why they do so well.
But miniature games, as opposed to I've backed some card games though.
Right. So, well, yeah, no, there's definitely card games.
But like the miniatures do better.
But the ones that people like the most are the ones with a bunch of miniatures in them.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a board game, but also has miniatures in it as well that are used. And I also like that when the board games and video games kind of cross paths, and a publisher will a designer will make a game based on a video game or vice versa. And a good example right now is Dark Souls. That's actually on Kickstarter right now. And that one's doing really well. It funded really quick. But as you'll see, like I was saying, it's also a miniatures game mostly. So it's going to have some pretty amazing miniatures.
Is that 3 million I saw?
Yeah, so now
it broke 3 million in backing the Dark Souls board game. Right. I assume because the game itself is such a popular game, and so many people play the Dark Souls game. Again, I tried it for a little bit. I think I have Demon Souls over there. Yeah, I have Demon Souls, and I tried playing that game, and I played it for like 10 minutes, and then I died, and then I'm a ghost, and you have like a quarter life or whatever it is, and you're trying to go back, and then I would finally get my soul back, or like beat a boss and regain humanity, I think it is. And then I'd walk through the next room and die again, and I'd be a ghost again. I was like, that's it, I'm done with this game. So I did rage quit that one. But yeah, so I mean it's a very popular game, and so creating a Kickstarter for a board game of it obviously was a good idea because it funded with over $3 million.
Right, and like You said you have
Excuse
a lot
me,
of,
3.7 million, almost
and it's
4
also
million.
euros.
Oh,
It's
my
'cause
apologies. Then it's
based
well
in the
over.
UK.
Then
So
it's
more
well
than that,
over
supposedly, right?
4 million.
Maybe
Yeah.
not anymore now. But anyways, that's why I like it, because it brings video gamers that maybe don't know much about board games into the board game scene, and hopefully
Yeah.
it gets them to explore more of what's out there. And another good one that
You said this is like a lot of miniatures though in this game.
right, and this.
So we're looking at the
actual
Kickstarter
page
right now. Yeah, we're
right.
looking at their Kickstarter page to pull up the thing.
No, but you see, look at this guy.
Yeah.
This will be a spot where it tells you. Oh, you can put it on.
Yeah, I think we can just
there we go. Nice.
see if it'll work.
Very nice. So yeah,
There we go.
click on that and check it out.
Yeah, that's the Kickstarter we're looking at right now. And yeah, there's like for all the bosses, you can see the
and they're really beautiful miniatures too, and
not painted.
Not painted.
So you can paint them.
A lot of which I probably
Daniel paints miniatures.
I attempt. I don't think I do a good job.
He attempts to paint miniatures.
So, but it looks really neat, and I'll definitely like to try it out. I didn't back it because I also have a ton of miniatures, and I see those, and I'm like, but I have so many more to catch up on, and I don't want to catch up on those miniatures. But I'll definitely love to try it out. And another good example that wasn't really on Kickstarter was
there was a lickable clink.
Lickable.
The lickable clink. Apparently, our clink wasn't linkable.
Oh, I don't know how to.
That's okay.
I just.
Luckily, we got other people doing the work for us.
Okay, thank you. So nice.
It's a hitbox thing. All right, thank you.
Okay. So another game that kind of bridges the gap is the XCOM, the board game. But that wasn't really on Kickstarter, though. That was in Fantasy Flight Games. It's a pretty big publisher of board games. And they do a lot of crossovers. They actually published a Gears of War game way back.
Was it a board game?
Yeah.
A Gears of War board. Oh, so another board game based off of a video game that you have that fan base already. So it's almost like, give us more of your money.
Exactly. And XCOM came out, and it's not really the same as the actual video game. It's not so much the tactical part of it, down on the ground. It's more like the world, you're saving the world, and like.
Where you're? It's like you're sending people on missions, kind of thing.
Right. Or? You have the world map, and the aliens go to a region, and you have to and it's integrated with an iPad or a tablet. You can use a tablet, and you have to use a tablet to play that game. So it's like one of the first games to introduce the computer to tablet to the board game scene, and it did really well, but also might be because of the game, the XCOM video game.
Yeah,
people remember that from way back then, and then when the new
the XCOM
the original game. XCOM game.
Oh yeah.
So that's a pretty good examples of how they bridge the gap of games.
Of the board games into the actual
and how well they do. They did really well.
Yeah, and again, it's that you get that fan base, and
in fact, board games is one of the most funded genres in Kickstarter. It's like it's like one of the top ones, and
just like the top one ever funded.
Yeah, we'll talk about later.
We'll talk about that one. Can't wait.
So I have a website here, todayinboardgames.com. That I don't know if it's gonna be.
I know someone will fix my mistake.
This is an old post, but I ran into it, and I think it does pretty well in explaining how well the board games have been doing, even though it's still indie, because not many people know. But in the board game world, this is huge because we're growing the genre, the board game genre. So the more people see it, the better, right? So this one has so gaming wide, there have been, like it says here, over almost 3,000 successful projects of board games, and they'll all 277 funded at least 100,000. So that's really good for a board game.
That's really good. That's a decent chunk of money right there.
So there's some pretty good notes here. The average total backers for each board game is around 2,500.
So Jesse Fat Cat wants to know why Dark Souls needed a Kickstarter.
Because that's another question that people ask sometimes, and most of the time it's because they're the company that's just the preferred way of doing business nowadays, and they find it that they can also make sure to have the right amount of copies when they make it, so they know, okay, this game is gonna, this many people like the game to back it, so we can produce this many for them, but also produce this many more to send to the stores. So it's like a good way to gauge how popular the board game is going to be, and that's how some people just like to do business now. Is in the board game industry.
Just give me all your money, and then I'll make a product, maybe, right. If I get around to it. So I have tried to fund things on Kickstarter that kind of fell through. Yeah. It gets funded, and they do all this work, and they're like, oh, wait, we didn't actually plan for all this other work that we didn't expect. Okay, don't worry about it. You're not going to get anything you pledged for.
Yeah. Another
such is the problem with Kickstarter.
Right. Another example of a good company that you will ask, why do they need to do Kickstarters anymore, is Cool Mini or Not. It first started out as a pretty small company based mostly on miniatures game, and now they're huge. Every game they've put on Kickstarter gets funded within like 5 minutes. And then it just goes into the millions of dollars raised.
Yeah.
And one of the latest ones that literally funded like in 5 minutes was Massive Darkness. Also, again, another miniatures game. But they're more of the what I would call a Ameritrash game, where it's more player interaction, rolling dice.
And what is that phrase for the people who aren't
right? So
the Ameritrash.
Yeah, Ameritrash is just it's a term to represent like more player interaction. And you'll include more dice. You roll and try and battle people. It's more themed, more thematic as well. It's not so abstract as the Euro games are, which means more like games from the European, where it's mostly based on like less player interaction and more about maximizing your turn and getting the most points at the end stuff. But more of the
trying to be like efficient and like a well-made game, as opposed to Pictionary, where you draw pretty pictures.
Well, no, mostly not just designed games. More about like if you want player interaction, or if you just want to.
Oh, so American Trash is
right. So
there's more player interaction, more werewolf, more.
Because back in the day when that term came about, the games weren't that good from America. They were mostly
that's what
like the roll and move games, where you roll and see how far you can go. Okay, I go here and this happens. So you don't really have much choices.
Trouble.
That many choices. Or Monopoly. That's another classic American trash game. So that came about. Now it means more than that. There's more to it, and there's been a blending of both nowadays, of Euro style and American trash, which is great. I love that, because I love rolling dice to see if I hit you. See how many.
See if I hit you.
Like I want to hit you. Roll the dice.
Roll for initiative. So back on the topic.
Oh yeah. So Ameritrash. So Massive Darkness is another. It's going on right now, and I think with Kickstarter, they add more and more. So it's raised $3.5 million. You know, that's.
Is it still going, or is this already?
I think it's still going.
That looks like it's funded already.
Let me see.
Anyway, it's already made $3.5 million.
Late pledge, yeah, it's done. So late pledge.
Yeah. You can do so it's already got funded.
And as you go, they open up different. They have like different tiers. Of, if we get this much money, then we when we get this many more things. Yeah, they have the different
backer rewards and the stretch goals.
The stretch goals and so
that's another thing that I think exactly. I think that's another thing I like about Kickstarter. And when you bring up the question of why do companies do Kickstarter like that, I think another part of it is to gauge people's interest in whatever product they're trying to put out. Because if you have a lot of interest, that means, hey, well, then I can put all this extra money into this and make it much better, because I'm going to be making this money regardless, So when you reach those stretch goals and you can put more and more effort into a game, it makes it better for everyone. So when a game gets very popular, like the most popular board game on Kickstarter, then you could reach those stretch goals, and it just makes the game better for everyone. So that's something I do really like about like Kickstarter and backing these games on Kickstarter, because the more popular, the more you share it with your friends, the more they share it, the more that this game makes, the better it's going to be in the end. Hopefully. Everything goes right. if they know how to manage their funds properly. So.
Right. So, on to the supposed
All right.
best game ever, which is not, in my opinion, is pretty horrible.
Here it is. Exploding Kittens, a card game for people who are into kittens and explosions and laser beams, and sometimes goats.
I, as a board game snob,
he is a board game snob, and I am not.
Look down upon people that have bought Exploding Kittens and say it's a great game.
It is a fantastic game, mister, and you love it, and I love it.
No,
yeah. So this is something that I came across.
Put it in the trash. They don't
when Daniel, well, it'll explode in the trash.
High five.
All right. Sorry. So it's a game on Kickstarter that I came across because Daniel was forcing me to look at Kickstarter more often and look at board games. He was like, "Oh, this is my impression of him. Oh, find a board game." And
that's pretty horrible.
It was pretty accurate, actually. And so I started going on Kickstarter and I started looking up more of these board games, and I came across Exploding Kittens. And I'm a fan.
It says don't forget Exploding Kittens.
I was gonna get to that. You ruined everything.
Horrible game. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I funded Exploding Kittens, and man, this thing made all sorts of money. All sorts of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Type to see if you can find it.
I already have it open because I'm prepared. Yeah. So $8.7 million this game funded on Kickstarter. Because
that doesn't mean it's good. It just means people are brainwashed.
Yes, that's exactly what it means. But there's nothing wrong with that because I like being brainwashed by kittens and explosions.
So, have you played this game yet?
Hold on, I want to see if it actually worked. Yes, it worked. So.
I haven't even seen a copy of it.
You haven't even seen it yet? See, you can't make fun of it. You haven't even played the game yet.
I know about it.
So.
It's a rainbow. Okay.
It is a cat vomiting a rainbow.
Okay.
So it's a game that I backed on Kickstarter and I enjoyed it. It's not a bad game. It's a quick, fun card game, and that's what I like.
Right.
I like card games. It takes longer to put a board game down and pull it all out and swap around a bunch of things.
In all seriousness, though, I really don't care if people enjoy the game and buy and enjoy it. As long as people are playing the game and enjoy it, whatever, enjoy it.
As long as people are playing board games and are having fun.
I make fun.
Sitting at a table with their friends and.
Yeah, I make fun, but I don't care. So you don't have to be mad at me anymore.
I am mad at you. And then VDEX here mentioned Imploding Kittens, which is the Kickstarter that's going on right now.
Is that doing it as well?
It is.
I didn't check it.
It's the expansion.
Oh.
For Imploding
is that
Kittens.
doing well, though?
It is. I hope it's doing well.
Put it up?
So while I'm talking, why don't you look it up?
Okay. You have the.
I do have the keyboard over there. Clearly, we didn't plan this. All right. Well, you can. If someone else could link to Imploding Kittens in the get out of here.
You have wires.
If someone else could link to Imploding Kittens in the chat, please, because clearly we were not prepared for this. So another one that I ended up getting was Bots Monster, and this is one that Daniel approves of.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And you found this at an actual store. But it was a Kickstarter.
Exactly. Project. So I came across this at a store itself, which it just happened to. I was looking through a store. Was this in California? Yeah, this is in California.
Gamescape.
When we were in California, and we walked in the store, and I'm just looking around. What's this game? What's that game? But this, I mean, it really caught my attention because I'm a big gaming nerd person, and I hope I'm trying to not put it behind the pop filter there.
The NES,
which people were making fun of my pop filter before. It's to avoid the pops, so you can't hear all the pops. So it's a game that again I came in the store and I saw it and I was like, huh, that looks like a cool card game. And developed by Brotherwise, a retro-inspired tabletop game designed by Brotherwise Games. And I was like, Brotherwise, I've never heard of them before. And I got the game, brought it home, we played it, and it was fantastic. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then Daniel was actually the one that told me. He's like, oh, yeah, that was a Kickstarter that got funded a while back. And they actually brought it, I guess they brought it into the store, and it was sitting in the store. So now this boss monster only made 215,000.
Well, it's funny we said we only, but that's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
In the board gaming world, that's huge.
215,000 is nothing to scoff at.
That's still really good.
So it's just a card game, so it doesn't have all the miniatures. It doesn't have
as much cost because when you back a game with miniatures, I'm backing like $100+, and this one you back like $20 or something. It was really cheap to back. See, it's $20 to back it, and you backed it. So you can also look at how many backers you have, which is pretty good. Nearly 5,000 backers,
Yeah, and the goal for this Kickstarter was 12,000. They were asking for $12,000 to make this game, and they made 215,000.
Right.
So,
which enabled them to put it on the stores.
Exactly, and because it became so popular. Right. Not $8.7 million popular like another game. But but it was popular enough that people really enjoyed it, and they brought it to the stores so that someone like me, who is not a board game snob, came across it and was like, "Oh, this looks like a cool game. This looks like something that I could be looks like something I could be interested in."
Yeah.
So again, linking the Kickstarter for Boss.
Now they have a digital version of the game now.
And a digital version on Steam.
Which I think I knew about it, but I forgot.
Exploding Imploding
I knew,
Kittens.
but I forgot. If that makes sense. So
that doesn't make any sense.
So the thing about board gaming in itself, the industry is pretty indie, as you would say, right? It's not big. It's not well known. And you go to a board game store, it's still, most of them are pretty small still, and they don't carry that many games, right? Yeah. And the ones that do carry are the ones published by the bigger publishers that can afford to make big amounts of the game. And so when you go in there, most of the people are going to go for the classics now, which are like Ticket to Ride, which is a classic, or Catan now. It used to be Settlers.
Is Ticket to Ride your favorite game?
No. It is good, though. It's fun. I own it. I own the first version. There's been many versions now, but I got the first one. It's fun. I still play it. I'd love to introduce it.
That's one of the games that he was trying to introduce me
into
board games.
That's what
Ticket
I use.
To Ride.
Right, that's what I use nowadays, is to introduce people to board games.
And
Ticket to Ride and Catan. Settlers of Catan, which now is
Settlers of Catan, which is just Catan now.
Yeah, they changed it.
They didn't. There's no Settlers anymore.
Right.
It's just Catan.
Right. So you see those games all the time, right? So when you go in there, there'll be this other section, including Exploding Kittens and
Somebody
Boss
doesn't
Monster.
like Catan.
Well, it's all right.
Lords of Waterdeep. So we played Custom Meat Sauce. Thank you. Lords of Waterdeep is another great starter game, especially for somebody who had played like D&D in the past. You can be like, hey, well, there's a board game based around Dungeons and Dragons and Lords of Waterdeep, and that's something he forced me to play. And we talked about this in one of our episodes about the cubes. So Lords of Waterdeep has the cubes, and so that kind of ties in with the Kickstarter and the miniatures. So had Lords of Waterdeep been a Kickstarter game
that included miniatures,
maybe they could have added miniatures instead of silly little cubes.
Right, so it's hard to get in the theme of putting the little cubes out. Yeah. I'm gonna send a cleric and have a cube.
I send a white cube, and it's funny because not trying to be a jerk, but I'm always a jerk, so I can't help that. Unfortunately,
I tune you out a lot.
he just tunes me out apparently. So when I was playing it, I was again just not thinking. I'm like, so I'm gonna send three white cubes over here, and as soon as I said that, Daniel was just like, no, they're not white cubes. They're clerics.
What did you say? Clerics? Yes, you're sending 3 clerics.
Yes, you're sending clerics.
And fighters?
He is a
not orange cubes. You gotta get in the theme, man.
He is a very
heavy in
sensitive gamer.
I want theme. I need to grab theme everywhere I can, and the cubes don't help. So I need to yell at people to make sure they actually do theme when they push cubes around.
Yes.
In your mind, they're going to the forest right now.
They're going into
the cave, into the dungeon,
into the deep.
But so that one was published by Wizards of the Coast, which owns,
does everything.
Which owns,
they do magic. Right?
Magic.
Yeah.
So they're not.
So
small.
They have unlimited money,
right?
Because they do magic and they print money via cards.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not small, and still, that game is barely hitting above the gaming world. You know what I'm saying? It's getting noticed slightly by non-gamers, and that's a huge company.
The Lords of Waterdeep.
Right. Yeah. Lords of Waterdeep is still not well known, and it was published by a huge company. So even then, it's still in the indie category, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? It's not a AAA game.
Now,
or whatnot.
let's do another tie-in with board games and video games.
Let's do it.
Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, yes. So finally, on Steam, if anybody knows, there's... somebody said Mage Knight is pretty good. Now, the only thing about Mage Knight,
Mage Knight, okay.
When I tried playing that with my friend, when I first got into board games about 6 years ago, like heavily into the hobby scene of board games, it was... me and my friend played it, and we didn't know what was going on, and the rules are insane for that game. And that's just the way they're reading this. They're just convoluted.
That's your answer is
they're just convoluted. It just goes into like how exactly I'm supposed to move one little thing over here and one little thing. It's a pretty tough rule book to get through. But the theme of it is pretty cool.
Was it scrapped?
Oh, for
shame they scrapped it.
Tabletop. Maybe for, I don't know what he means, but no, it's been published.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he means by Tabletop Simulator. I don't know.
Like the...
I don't know what he means by that. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that, V-Dex?
Because it can mean many things. It can mean like there's the Will Wheaton Show Tabletop on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's what he meant. Or maybe Tabletop Simulator. I'm not sure. But it is published. I played it many years ago.
And you hated it.
No, it's
because the
rules
rules are too difficult.
It's tough. It took us like 2 hours to get going to do two turns, something like that. It was
that
crazy.
Sounds like another game you play that takes 3 hours to set up and
which is what?
4 to take down.
Is what?
I can't remember. You have too many board games.
I have a couple of games that do that, but I enjoy those, so it's okay.
Yeah, right.
They don't get on the tablet.
While you're setting it up, the one guy who's setting up, everyone else in the room plays a different game.
Yeah, and this is why these games are good. They're little, quick, no-brainer games like Exploding Kittens.
Hey.
Get on the table for like.
It takes a lot of brains to play Exploding Kittens.
So, yeah, and now actually that same. Oh, look, he answered.
Oh, okay. You talk. I'll read the response.
Now though, the same company released Star Trek Frontiers, which is pretty much Mage Knight, but with a Star Trek theme. So you're going around in your ship exploring different areas of the map. So it's that game I want to play because it's a thing I enjoy, Star Trek, and I really want to try that game again. I'm afraid of the rulebook.
You're afraid of the rulebook?
Of Mage Knight.
As you should be.
My friend always tries to have me play it all the time when we talk. Hey, so how about Mage Knight? We should give it a shot.
I'd be like,
I just looked the other way and he's like, look at that game.
Hey, Exploding Kittens.
Throw it in his face.
Oh man! So I did actually want to talk about some video games in here because we this is an indie game convention,
and we're a games and gaming podcast.
And we are a games and gaming podcast. Thank you for reminding me what we are.
We are both games and gaming.
So a game I wanted to talk about was Undertale, which is a global phenomenon. Kind of like Pokemon Go. We'll get into Pokemon Go in a second. But Undertale is a global phenomenon that was a Kickstarter. And I'm proud to say that I backed it. Yes.
Called it.
You can totally see I pledged $7 million.
You're a
and like it was another thing I was browsing the
Krausen?
The Kickstarter.
That's a term.
And so I was going through Kickstarter and I came across this game, and I mean the artwork kind of caught my eye as well. Neat. And I'm trying to. I don't know if this is a correct link. This might be like a link to my
help us.
Personal information and serial. So fast with that linkable click. Whew. Clickable link.
Clickable click.
Linkable click.
Crank. Okay.
So Undertale was a project that funded, and it funded with $51,000. So it's not something that made bajillions of dollars, and they were asking for $5,000. So they're asking for $5,000 to make this game.
And it has 2,300 backers.
Toby Fox, who is my hero.
Oh yeah.
In case you didn't know,
I didn't.
The guy made everything in Undertale. So
did he make
just
Kittens?
Earlier today, he also made Exploding.
Wow.
He didn't make Exploding Kittens. Don't quote me on that. So Toby Fox did everything with this game, and I was one of the privileged few to be able to see the the evolution of this game. You know, he would be sending the updates via Kickstarter and saying, "Oh, I implemented this new boss or created this little thing," and these things I would be getting in my email and looking at me like, "Oh, cool, that sounds interesting."
Yeah, nice.
And I didn't understand or grasp what he was creating, and I forced Daniel this morning to play. He played like the first 10 minutes of it, and he was like, "This game's stupid."
No, I said, "This is E.T. from Atari. What am I playing here?"
He did actually say that. He was like, "This is E.T. Why am I playing this game?" And I had to immediately slap him across the face because this is I've played video games my entire life, and this is my favorite game of all time.
What? You didn't tell me that before.
I told him that.
I don't believe it.
I told you that.
No, you didn't.
I tell you that every time I talk to you.
Sometimes I don't.
Every time I talk to you, I'm like,
Sometimes
"This is Undertale is my favorite game."
I tune you out 95% of the time.
So Undertale is my favorite game of all time, and it's so well done. And I'm not gonna say spoilers, but there's so many spoilers. I can't because he hasn't played it yet. I'm forcing him to play it.
I've gotten through when I went to bed. I went to my
near
room.
the end of the game. For people who have played the game,
am I gonna love the character?
Near the end of the game, just my mind was blown.
Will I cry?
I was yes.
Oh, then I should play it. I like crying.
I hate you. I hate you. All right. So, it was such an emotional game, and my previous game was Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Ah, that's good.
So
I haven't finished it.
That
I'm like 90%.
Are you? Again, I don't like this game.
Well, no, I'm in the part where you're gliding, and you have to like go through things.
Yes. Well, thank you.
The castle.
Let me explain.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and I'm seeing a pattern of just like these very emotional games is what gets me, because I'm a sucker for a story.
Oh yeah, me too.
Now, so playing through Undertale, it just everything seemed right. Like the music was perfect. The art style, which is apparently E.T., was fantastic.
I should have brought up a link of E.T.
And
posted it on there so I can see what I mean.
Oh man. So it just I cannot say enough about that game and how much I loved it. Now, what was the other game I wanted to talk about that I can't remember right now?
Well, what? So the story is what you mostly like about the game?
Yeah,
like,
well,
is there
no,
a cool gameplay thing?
The gameplay thing about it is what caught my eye when I first backed the campaign was the first the art style, because it just looked beautiful. It brought me back to the good old NES 8-bit graphic days, and I was like,
Atari.
Atari ET graphic days, and I wanted to play this game, so I ended up backing it, and it was the fact that you didn't have to fight anything in the game, which Daniel found that it's a lot easier to just mash A and hit fight every time on every monster and just kill it.
It's a frog. What are you doing in front of me?
It's a frog.
Going down.
It is a frog. And a wisdom.
And it has some kind of thing flying around me.
You do.
Was that a wisdom?
Yes, that was the little crying thing that was too sad to fight you, and then you murder him.
Yes.
All right.
Shouldn't be in my way. I got a mission.
He's got a mission to fall down the hole. I was watching you play, and you fell down that hole.
Yeah, I figured it out.
The first puzzle in the entire game, he ended up taking 35 minutes to solve.
I was kind of being annoying to you because
I knew that was what he was
so
doing.
I was just doing the same
I knew he was doing it out of spite, but
I was doing it on purpose. Like,
it's this. Oh, it's gotta be this.
And I was like, when you went away
then I
shower
left,
or whatever,
and
I was like, okay, now I'll finish it.
Okay, now actually, and he did it right there. I'm sure. As soon as I walked out of the room, because you're a spiteful, mean person. Yeah. So that's it's just one of the games that I came across on Kickstarter, and it's that whole indie game. No one heard about this before. No one had heard about Toby Fox before. I hadn't. I don't know if he was a big guy before this, but as far as I know, Toby Fox was just somebody who wanted to make a game and had a amazing idea in his head, and I am proud to say I gave him the money. I didn't give him a whole lot of money, but I gave him money to make that happen, and I'm so happy that it did, and it was such a big thing that it was. That's a Pokemon Go. I was going to talk about Pokemon Go. So another, I wouldn't call it an indie game at this point because it's not really an indie game. It's Pokemon Go. Everyone's playing it, but it's just that breaking the bonds of what it should be. You know, it's just a mobile game that's you point and click and throw a Pokeball.
You catch the Pokemon.
And you catch a Pokemon.
And then you gotta go to the
But
gym
it's just this global phenomenon, and that's why some of these games, that's why I love video gaming. That's why I'm a gamer, is because things like this can happen where just some little mobile game comes out and people are like, it'll just, you know, a couple 100,000 people play it. We don't need any more servers than one. And then 7 billion people install the app and start playing it, and then it brings that one server to its knees.
Yeah, I had a hard time logging onto it the first week.
Yeah, everyone did, because there was one server for Pokemon Go in the world, and there were 7 billion people trying to access it. And so, another thing that I want to talk about as far as video games go, and this is almost crossing the bounds of both things. I'm not using that word correctly, I don't think. But
boundaries,
smashing boundaries. This game is smashing through all of the boundaries.
I like that.
It is a game that a good friend of mine is working on, and it's called Hologrid Monster Battle. So this is being developed by Tippett Studios.
Like what that guy said, Pokemon Go surpassed the daily active users of Snapchat
in like 2 or 3 days. I could see that. Yeah. Lickable Clink, if somebody could please do that for that. And this game is it's a combination of both things. It's using thank you, custom meat sauce. That was to the website itself. I linked to the Kickstarter. And so the game is using augmented reality. And it's using like iPads,
tablets.
Tablets. They're talking about even the glasses things and like the Vive and things like that. So virtual reality getting into the augmented reality.
Yeah.
But it's just a card game, board game / augmented reality where you're playing with the little claymation figures from Star Wars.
The chess game in the Millennium Falcon.
By Tippett, Mr. Tippett.
So this integrates like actual board. You point the tablet to the board, and then you see your figure on the board. So that's another thing about board games that's happening: the integration of tablets, of technology into the board games, which is really cool and fun to think about. You know, I'm all for that. A fun way to integrate both things I enjoy. So
I was reading comments. I wasn't paying attention.
Thanks for not paying attention.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I'm used to that.
Okay. So yeah, it's just that augmented reality. I want to see this more. I want to see more augmented reality. I want to see more things like Tabletop Simulator, which we mentioned but we never talked about.
That was weird.
So we'll get to that in a second. So we talked about augmented reality, and just it's just getting better and better that soon you won't even need to sit at a table with your friends to play board games. You know, the fun of board gaming will be gone, and then no one will have it anymore. But it's just that you can now sit behind your computer and play with anyone around the world via Tabletop Simulator. Hologrid now, it is because it is augmented reality. You do still have to sit at a table and hold your tablet, or possibly like the Vive, because they were talking about like Vive and stuff like that in the future. And I could see that as being something like a Tabletop Simulator where you throw on a virtual reality headset, you sit at your computer, you sit at your PS4, possibly you sit at your Xbox One, and you can play this game, play this board game, or possibly play other board games. And this is something that I would love to see more of, is more games like this. And are you reading the comments while I'm talking?
Sorry, I was listening
questions?
to you. I'm trying to pay attention.
No, you're not.
To what you say. You're so riveting.
Don't lie to me.
So we were talking about Tabletop Simulator. I finally tried it like 2 weeks ago, and I played Zombicide, which was a Kickstarter game. That was
Zombicide
by Kumini or Not, and that's Cool Mini or Not.
Cool Mini or Not.
That is the actual name of the company.
Pronounce
because it used to be.
Enunciate.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time. That used to be a small company that was mostly about miniatures, a website. Then they decided to make board games, and that's why so many other board games have miniatures in them. But somebody made the company itself, I guess, is an official tabletop simulator expansion you could buy, and you can play the game online. And you still have to know the rules. There's no automation. You have to move everything yourself. You have to put all the chits down. You have to move the figures. So it's all like literally like you were at the table, because there's no computer is not doing anything for you. And I played it for the first time with my friend that lives in California. I live in Washington, so it was pretty neat trying that for the first time. And actually, it was pretty fun. And some of the things that people had against tabletop simulator and that kind of stuff was that they were saying that it would take away from the actual physical copies, that they won't sell anymore. But it's actually the opposite. It's getting people to go into the gaming stores to check out the actual physical copies of this game, and hopefully also be interested in other games. So the tabletop simulator is actually helping, the brick and mortar stores and games themselves. It's a fun little thing to try. And also, since it's an open source game, people can make different modules for it that you can download and add to the tabletop. Yeah. So you can play like actual games that are out right now, try it out, safely. So you have to spend the money on it, right?
Try it out safely.
And if it's good, then it's good. Then you go buy it. If it's not, then it shouldn't be in print.
Right? Yeah, there you go. So just that the tabletop simulator is a fantastic new way.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
And they have virtual reality for that, right?
Yeah.
You can use VR on it. So I haven't actually tried that yet. I've got a dev kit 2 for Oculus Rift. I haven't gotten the actual Oculus Rift yet. I don't know that I will.
Really?
I've been hearing so many bad things about it, just like the way they're handling the store and all that. But before I get off on a tangent on that, that's something that I am very interested in, and it'd be a lot of fun to play around with that more. So it looks like we're more or less coming up on our time here, so we wanted to thank
thanks for having us.
Thank everyone.
Thank you
for having us. Here.
There was one question that Vdex asked that I think his stream was a little laggy, so you didn't catch it. His question was, I'm currently struggling to make my game work financially. Would you recommend focusing on making the accompanying card game first to spark some interest and maybe finance the game that way? As I've said earlier, we had some play tests at a Magic the Gathering only area, and people stood in lines to play it.
That, I would say, is definitely not a bad idea, because most of the people that are at the game store are also video gamers. So they might be board gamers first, but they actually also enjoy the video game. So if they see this physical copy of the game, and then they learn that it's going to be also... So that is this going to be a companion game, or it's going to be the same game, just digital? I'm not sure if that's going to be...
From the way he was wording it, it looks like it's going to... It is a companion game.
It's a companion game. So that would be even better, I think, because then people will be interested in going to find the digital copy, the digital companion of the game, to check it out.
It's a standalone different game.
Oh, it's a standalone different game?
Oh, cool.
So
okay. So
hey, that's even better though, because having that on your resume is be like, it's like, hey, I'm the developer of this game, and we put out this card game, and a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, and going to the store, that's gonna be big. Going to the Magic Nights to catch the gamers that are into the card games more, and those gamers
find your local gaming store.
Right, find your local gaming store and put it out there, and definitely go to the conventions, have a little booth set up. So it's word of mouth. Definitely will help with the game. So if you already have the game developed, and then get excited about the computer game, it's definitely going to help.
Yeah, the more people you can get on board with a card game or a board game or whatever like that, then it's those people, if they like your cardboard board game, then they're more than likely going to want to play your other game.
You guys going to Origins ever?
Oh,
Tech does that.
I
so
have not.
great.
I would love
It's
to go.
so awesome.
We should go next year.
Should we?
I know.
Get
Buy me a plane
a
ticket.
good
That's
hotel
our mission
room.
next year.
Get
Origin.
a where are you guys located?
Mark's
Hawaii
in Hawaii
right here.
yeah.
This is in
Oh.
Hawaii right now.
I'm
Never
in
mind.
Washington State. I'm in
So
Washington
He's
State.
visiting right now.
Yeah, I just
So
happened to be.
that makes
Just
it a little
happy.
bit harder to get to Ohio.
Yeah.
I will say that if you ever do plan on going, get your hotel reservations quickly, because over the 5 days when I went, I didn't step outside once, and it was the best experience ever. Because the hotel is
That's
attached
always
to the
best.
convention center, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
you
When
at
you
all
can get
hours of the
hotel
night.
room in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's what we did for AutoCon. We
Yeah.
had the hotel in the
At
convention
the hotel
center.
in the convention center,
Just
you
went-
never leave the hotel,
Yeah.
and it's the
Yeah.
greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So-
Well, thank you so much for talking about indie games and board games. If you want to
Always.
go check, if you like our podcast, you'll like theirs as well. Games and Gaming Podcast.com.
Yep.
Go check them out. And I don't know. I guess not Mark, of course.
What? Come on.
just Daniel.
Oh. Are you just joshing me?
Ha ha! You
Just-
should feel
you know,
bad.
I'm just JaShinYa.
You both should
Yeah.
feel bad.
There you go. So.
Wow, that hurt my feelings.
All right, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you again, and I hope you
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of the expo if you're going to hang around.
Definitely.
I am going to kick you guys out soon, like 2
No.
seconds.
Well, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Don't do
Thanks
it.
for joining us.
Don't
Bye.
do it.